Right. The Flash.
The Flash.
I have
Uh,
thoughts.
Me too.
I would like us to focus on the positives first,
Okay.
because overall, I do have a positive opinion, but I'm always more aggressive about my negative opinions. So if we start with the negatives, it will seem like I despise this film, and that is not the message I want to put across.
Understandable.
Okay. Um, Overall, it is really good. I think it is 80% a perfect film. Unfortunately, that 20% is very aggressively bad.
I've always, the whole run up to this, you've been highly optimistic because you want it to be good because it's Flash. I've been very much on the fence, unsure if they were actually going to pull off something good. It definitely beat my expectations.
Well, that's a good start.
And I don't know if I would quite say it was 80%. Like, I'd be more like maybe 70, 75. Lower than you. I agree. I feel like it had a very solid core to the film and did a lot of things better than a lot of DC films. But like you say, there's just like a chunk, a few very solid issues that I feel pull it. Unfortunately, really takes away from how good the core plot is,
Yeah.
which is it's one of those. I think overall, it is definitely one of the best DC films we've had in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's done well considering the how should we put it, the mess that is the DCEU, and it's kind of had to handle being part of. I'm able to look past the Ezra Miller thing. We will keep that separate. I think we both are
Yes.
good enough to keep our views on Ezra Miller separate to the film itself. I
Yeah.
think
Too many other people worked very hard on that film for
yes,
us to cast it aside based on one individual's actions, which hopefully they do get punished for.
yeah,
Or at least the
something is
justice
resolved.
system takes place.
Yes. But yeah, like I said, I feel like it has a very solid. I feel like the core plot of the film was really good.
I
I
mean,
really liked the storyline that they were going for.
let's be clear, Flashpoint is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a good
Um, I
comic run.
do wish there was some slight. So they did the Flashpoint story at its core, but they made a
Mm,
number of large changes.
right,
Um, so first and foremost, it's not Batman as we know him in Flashpoint.
right,
It's Thomas Wayne.
okay,
So very famously, everyone will have seen at some point on Twitter. Oh, what about this universe where Bruce died and Batman was his dad and his mum became the Joker?
oh yeah,
That's Flashpoint universe.
oh okay, didn't know
Um,
that.
so yeah, so the really brutal gun-toting Batman that's Thomas
Hmm,
Wayne is Flashpoint.
right, okay,
Um, and Wonder Woman and Aquaman
uh
do
huh,
exist, and they're at war with each other, and it's destroying the rest of the world.
right, okay,
Cyborg exists,
uh huh,
and he is essentially a government agent who's trying to
right,
recruit Batman into helping.
okay,
Um, but he then turns on the government when they discover Superman, who is in the same situation as Supergirl was in. When he crash landed,
right,
the government abducted him and threw him in a cage for his entire existence.
got you.
Um, so they changed a couple of bits. The biggest bit and the only bit I'm actually upset they changed was the complete lack of Reverse Flash.
Yeah, it was all.
That upset me.
I'm surprised that considering how it felt like things were being portrayed, it felt like we were going to have, like from the trailers, especially with like the coloring and different things, it kind of felt like it was leaning into we're going to have a reverse flash here.
Yeah. And I think at the end, if the twist would have been not Barry 2 essentially becoming like a Savitar style character for those who watch CW. But instead, he revealed that he was Reverse Flash and he's just been laughing at Barry this entire time.
Yeah, that's
I think
so.
that could have hit really well.
Yeah, and I think that plays into like one of the issues I felt. Which we essentially got Dark Flash,
Yes.
but just different version of Flash. We got Barry Allen instead of Wally West, is it, or Wallace
Yeah.
West for Dark Flash?
Yeah.
I felt like that. I don't. I it felt kind of jammed in there. It didn't feel like they paid off properly with that. Like they were building up like, oh, he got booted out by some scary ass looking thing. Um and then it all like when it got revealed that oh, it's just Barry been trying this whole time, and it's like but then he like kills himself and it's all over. I was like, oh.
When did you realize it was Barry?
So at first, so when he first was shown and he like kicks him out and then he was having nightmares,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was them playing either on um Death Flash, because it's the only thing that's going to catch up
Yeah,
to,
Black Flash.
or the idea that the CW shows had, which was the time wraiths.
Yeah.
I thought they were playing maybe on that because he's fucking with time. I kind of clicked after a couple of attempts at refixing. He was getting more shards in him, and then we like kind of saw another vision of the guy covered. I was like, okay, it's gonna be him.
It
Like
was
he's
when Barry got the first shard, the massive one.
that
And
clicked.
he got that little bit crazy. It was like, no, we've got to go again. I was like, oh shit, I see how this is gonna go.
Yeah, and I just felt like the end of it was like a very quick, like
Yes.
wrap up, and it's like you kind of could have played into more. And I think you're right. Had they gone the route of making him Reverse Flash and have him like fail at this, and then essentially like he escapes into like time,
So
and it's like he's forever going to be annoying him.
the way I could have seen it going, which I think would have worked with like as few tweaks as possible to earlier in the story. Because of
Yeah.
course, if you go that way, there would have been after like been little tweaks here and there. But I think the idea is when they're in the Chrono Ball and Barry realizes no, we have to reset it. You just have him reveal himself as Ubard Thorn and just laugh, and it was like, ha, you finally realise that your mother has to die, and the best bit is now you get to go back and watch me kill her. So that because in this world, Barry has no idea who's killed his mother yet.
Yeah, true.
And he can go, wait, what the fuck? And then you can get like a fight scene of them going backwards and forwards, and then you get Barry beating him, and then he goes, but you've still got to let her die. And I just think that would have been the perfect example of Reverse Flash in that idea of, yeah, you can beat me all you want, but guess what? I've still killed your mother. I've still ruined your life. It's already happened, and you can't kill me and still be a hero.
Yeah, that actually would have. I agree. I think that would have been a better kind of development of the other Flash into Reverse Flash than having him be Dark Flash and then he just gets like offed by the end of the film.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that really would have rounded out the kind of core storyline that Barry was dealing with of like he can't fuck with time and he has to accept what happens. But
what I will say.
go
Go on.
No,
You go. You go. Mine's a tangent. You finish.
Well, I was just going to start getting into a few other issues, so
Okay, no, I'm
go
not
on
ready
your
for
tangent.
issues yet. What I will say is the film genuinely managed to surprise both of us because we knew there were cameos in this film, and both of us sat here and said, "Well, we know for one thing they won't have George Clooney back." I was genuinely shook. I know a lot of people have bitched and moaned about it, but when he's on the phone outside the courthouse, I listened to it first.
I was like, it doesn't sound right, but I was like, oh, it's just the phone.
Yeah, And then I was like, wait a second, that voice feels familiar, but
I see.
not Ben Affleck. And I was like, wait, there's no fucking way they've actually got George Clooney. And then you see him walk through and he looks so good. Like, he is aged
Well,
phenomenally well.
it's George Clooney.
And I'm like, holy shit, they actually got George Clooney to come back and be Bruce Wayne.
I was like, yeah, we both have said, and we've talked about the fact that George Clooney has like ridiculed that film and kind of said he never would come back as Batman or anything.
He's like, I apologize, I will never ever try and be Batman again.
And it's like, yeah, he steps out of the car and it's like, I was like, wait, what the fuck is George Clooney? I was like, hang on, how? I was like, they've convinced him? Like, how have they?
A big bag of money.
I mean, even so, I feel like he had to be sold enough, obviously, on like the whole idea of it. But it's like, God, the fact that they've convinced him to be like, do you know what I think it was? They've said, you just need to come back as Bruce. You don't have to be the Batman with the suit and everything. Just come back as Bruce.
And it's like, out.
Okay, I can do that. I just have to suit up and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was also, I did enjoy that it's like, even though Barry, you kind of sold on this idea that like, oh, he changed the one little thing that he's got away with it. And it's all worked out. Okay, he's figured out how to like fuck around with this time shit. And then it's like, oh no, by the way, no, he's still fucked everything up. Like he still hasn't learned that he can't do nothing.
I really enjoyed their explanation of how time works. And it's every individual decision you make creates this multiverse of decisions.
Yes.
And some of them follow right alongside each other and just have little differences.
Yeah.
And some of them are like,
yeah, they do the cross.
X and Y, completely different with only one thing the same. I really like that explanation. It gives you a lot of freedom to tell very different stories without having to think about it too much.
Yeah.
Very, very smart. My big issue is the people who've decided their issue is with the cameo selection.
I mean, there's only one that's kind of like, why?
So what it is so the courthouse scene at the very end.
Yes.
There was 3 versions of that filmed.
Okay.
So you had the one with George Clooney, which is what we got.
Yeah.
You had one that was going to be Supergirl and Michael Keaton.
Okay.
And then you had one that was going to be Supergirl, Michael Keaton, Henry Cavill, and Gal Gadot.
Oh, wow.
And people are really angry that they didn't get to say goodbye to Henry Cavill. And I understand that logic. However, there is a gaping fucking hole with it. Schneider fans are going to shout and scream about the DCEU for as long as people will listen. So the quicker you can get the casual fans detached from their old Superman,
yeah,
the better. Which is why the cameos being characters from 20 years ago, who everyone knows aren't coming back, is fine. I do, however, have a slight issue with the George Reeves cameo, who was like the Superman in the 50s.
Right. Oh, is this the whole they recreated him?
Well, yeah, the situation around his death is still not 100% clear what happened. And a lot of people believed he committed suicide because of the pressure of being Superman.
Oh.
So a lot of people thought it was quite disrespectful to use his likeness for a throwaway cameo.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And some people are also angry about the Christopher Reeves cameo because there is an interview of him before his accident, which meant he obviously stopped being Superman, where he said the idea of taking someone's face and using it didn't sit right with him.
Right.
He'd rather actors get to act.
Yeah.
Granted, this was like from the 70s before this level of technology was ever possible. So that I have less of an issue with. The issue I have is just the use of CGI for cameos in general. It was proper Uncanny Valley.
Well, the whole Chrono Ball was Uncanny Valley.
So, and this is another thing.
This is where we're going to start getting into the problems we have with this.
So, inside the Chrono Ball, the director said the reason it looked like that was a stylistic choice. and I can respect that. What I will say, it was a dog shit style choice. If that's the style you went for, fine. If you're happy with the style and it reflects what you wanted, cool, that's fine. I'm going to sit here and just say it was a bad decision then.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's like, okay, sure, if that was what your intention was, that's fine. But also, you can't be mad if the
If people don't
majority,
like it.
well, if the majority of the viewers think that was a bad choice.
Mm.
Like, if the majority of the viewers are like, yeah, but that idea that you've had doesn't work in our view, he needs to be like, okay, fine. Like, take
Yeah.
it on the chin and be like, well, it was a choice and it didn't resonate. Fine. And the Chrono Ball, like, personally, I didn't like the choice they went with it. Like, I've mixed on it. I didn't like how they did the CGI for, like, and I get that they were trying to make it look weird because it's meant to be memories. I like the whole doing it in the Chrono Bowl, like
The Chrono Ball concept was good.
yeah, and essentially mirroring like how DC Comics does it with the Earths all lined up, and it's like that was the idea with the different globes. It's the different Earths. It's kind of showing DC's view of the multiverse. I like that. The different colors, to me was just purely so you could tell they're different. I know some people are like, well, why are they all different colors and stuff? Yeah. The whole like, I think he could have got away with that style. There was just points where it looked especially bad when he kind of went like, you go into a view from the side of the Chrono Ball, and it's like you really can tell that they're like felt like bad. Just like when someone on YouTube does like a projection map of a person's face onto like a bit of a basic CG model, and it always
If
looks really janky.
it felt like something that 10 years ago, if someone in their bedroom put on YouTube, you go, wow, look how far technology's coming. You can do this in a bedroom.
I know what it looks like. It's literally, so I don't know if you've ever seen when someone gets 3D scanned, it's like takes like an image of them and like plasters it onto like and it like, but it's still all like all over the place, and
Because
it
the
has
model
like,
isn't right.
yeah, because it's scanned and it's like got artifacts and issues. Usually they would go and clean up. It's like they've done the 3D scan of people and then just slap that straight in.
Got ya.
It's like a weird like,
But
yeah,
with that being a style choice, I don't want to complain about the CGI because the CGI might have been what they were intending and we just don't like the style. Where I
yeah.
am going to complain about the CGI is the very first fucking scene.
The running looked weird.
The running looked weird. I'm more concerned about the babies and the hospital.
Well, that again is another.
So, I thought I was going crazy at first. Me and Jenna agreed on this though. The dog, when falling,
Yeah.
looked like a big Alsatian breed.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, when it's landed, it's a tiny, like Jack Russell dog.
Yeah.
Me and Jenna both, I shit you not, while in the cinema, just kind of looked at it like, that's a different dog.
Yeah, no. Like I saw the service dog, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's one of the big service dogs that like you see around. Like,
The
cool.
snout was longer and the tongue was massive,
And then
yeah,
it's like it landed, and I was like, I wasn't expecting that on top of the microwave. That's not where I thought the dog was going to be.
And even if we try and give him a pass for the style for just running again, what just cannot get a pass is when he opens the microwave with the baby in it, and you have the most animated looking thing that has ever been animated in the microwave.
The babies were weird because like it's obvious that it's all CG. Like it's just you can't like. There was too many close-ups of the babies that it's like you just can't sell it. The running, I mean, I've never been a fan of how he does it. It's weird. So I have this weird thing with this how they do the CGI for the Flash running. Because there's when he's ramping up and you can see his legs getting faster, I'm like, that looks good. And then it's like
Then
when he
like
hits
this ice skating.
yeah, and it's like it just looks like like when a video game mistimes the animation with the movement speed and it looks like they're skating along the floor.
Yeah.
It does that. And then we got weird, like when he was running to Gotham, obviously, they tried to showcase how far he was running. But then we get these like weird, like far out shots where you can see him doing the same like slow run, but the landscape's just flying back and it looks off.
I get what you're saying. So this I do think is a style choice, and again,
Well,
you're
yeah.
100% right to dislike it. I don't think that was necessarily a CG issue as much as it was a style issue.
Yeah, okay.
So they seem to have gone for the idea that he builds up speed, and then he's sprinting like me or you would sprint,
Yeah, but
and
it's
he's
slow.
like gliding along because like his body is physically able to traverse faster.
Well, yeah, I
Which
think
again,
what they're trying to
I
show
don't hate
is
that.
he can process it. His processing time is like that, as if he's running at that speed.
Yeah,
I think is what they're going for,
because
but it's just, it comes across weird.
because what you get is you've got to imagine when you're running,
Hmm.
there are periods of time where you're not touching the floor.
Well, yeah.
So I think they're going for more the idea. Well, his legs are only so long, and he's just going so fast that by the time his leg next lands, he's gone
Well,
like
yeah.
500 yards. I don't personally like that style. I like the idea more of his legs move super fast.
Yeah.
But as stupid as it sounds, because it still looked wonky anyway, I think the idea would be if we try and make his legs look like they're moving super fast, that could look really bad.
Well, you
And I
know,
thought they were like, well, if we go for the ice skating style, it will probably look fine, and it just didn't work.
the thing that I think would fix it isn't you necessarily have to make it so the legs are moving fast. You add like as if there's like a frame rate blur on his legs. Then you get the feel that like, oh, there's like his legs are moving like when a propeller moves really quick, and then
Yeah.
you get the weird like stuttering
Yeah.
effect. Do that with his legs, and I think that would fix it.
I 100% agree. But unfortunately, again, I don't think that's actually a CG issue. I think it's a style issue.
Well, yeah. I think
and this is the problem.
Yeah, the director's style choices around how the CG should look hasn't hit.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like he needs to take that on the chin. And it's like, okay, we can accept if that's your style choice, cool. But we don't like it. That's our opinions. One
But
issue that I have with so the plot was great. And I get that obviously Flashpoint relies on a lot of the other characters as well. It felt very heavy on Batman at one point. And I felt like they lent on the post of having old Batman back and relying too heavily on all that stuff to keep people happy, that we then ended up in this weird jumpy choppy bit where it was like, Batman time. No, we're back to the Flash story, like deep, important. Oh, and we're back to Batman stuff. And then it lost that core plot.
I think that's completely fair. It's completely fair. And I think that's why it would have benefited with Thomas Wayne instead. Because you don't have people excited to see Batman. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is Batman, but it's not Batman, so it's fine.
Yeah.
What I will say is, I forget the actress's name. Supergirl, phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I thought she was great.
Needs to keep the role of Supergirl.
See, this was something else. Like, I thought she was great. I know I'd read something that she would like to be able to stay. Like, she really enjoyed playing Supergirl. I think knowing that James Gunn is going with a Supergirl that watched Krypton get destroyed and obviously is in a similar mindset and kind of vibe, she would fit like just the same, I think.
I think and I think this is why this film's disappointed me so much, because I had high expectations, and I'm just sat here, and I'm like
it
a handful of decisions made slightly differently, and I'm like, holy shit, we've actually gone 3 for 3.
Even if they changed some things, I don't think it would have quite been. But
and I'm just,
yeah,
it's really, really annoying.
Do you know what I also felt? It kind of felt like the cameos of having like Wonder Woman in and some of the weird ones in the Chrono Bowl. It felt very much like Warner Brothers were like, hey, Marvel made a ton of money because they brought back old actors and everyone loved it. Why why don't you guys do the same? That'll make us money, right? And then they chucked in a bunch of cameos, and it's like it just kind of felt like you were throwing cameos in for the sake of cameos. And considering they streamlined that list as well, they originally planned to have way more.
I think they chose the wrong cameo. So let me try and break this down in the way that makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
Professor X in Multiverse of Madness being played by Patrick Stewart.
Mm.
For people our age, they are some of the first superhero films we saw. That is a huge cameo.
Yes.
Same as Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
Yes.
Nicolas Cage playing Superman again from a film you probably weren't even aware of. I know Jenna wasn't aware of it. I'm only barely aware of it.
Well, I didn't think he'd done a film. I thought it was from a test screening.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So there was going to be a film called Superman Lives.
Yeah, it
with
was
Nicolas Cage as Superman.
And he did a test.
And there
in
was
a
a test screening, and there are famous pictures of him in the suit, which look really good. That is such a niche reference.
Yeah. Well, and the spider thing is a niche reference because the director guy was like, well, we'll do it on, but these three things need to happen. And it's like the third one is like in the second act, he has to fight a spider.
Yeah.
And it's like, we didn't need that.
Yeah. The Adam West reference will have gone over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah, because it didn't show it properly.
Yeah. The Christopher Reeves reference. Anyone kind of younger than us and who is a casual fan and not a mega nerd, not going to understand that reference at all.
Yeah.
I think they'd been better off going with a Christian Bale reference, a Grant Gustin reference.
Yeah.
Keep stuff like this century.
I think you're right. I think they've tried to, and do you know what I think it is? Because DC knows they've been getting hounded by the comic fans because their films have been so bad. They're like, oh, we'll do cameos that like are for the comic fans and then like the hardcore fans. But then it's like, that just doesn't hit. Like, sure, there'll be a lot of, I'm sure there's a bunch of comic book fans that are like, oh my God, they put that really like Nicolas Cage being Superman and like some old ref, like, cool. But the majority of the audience will be like, why is Nicolas Cage here?
But there were some people tweeting afterwards who were like, was that fucking Nicolas Cage? What was
he?
Yeah.
Well, the CGI of him looked weird as well.
So they're like, A, was that Nicolas Cage? B, why was that Nicolas Cage? And it's like, they are not you don't want people coming out asking questions
focused on Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, about asking questions about what's supposed to be like this poetic full stop on your main talking point.
Yeah, they missed the mark on a lot of small things, which unfortunately were in quite important places, and it added up.
Yeah.
I also the post-credit scene, which you warned me was. I did stop. Of course I did. I have to. I knew from you'd warned me that like, it's kind of pointless. It's not worth watching. Yeah. It just, to me, it screamed. By the way, we have Aquaman 2 coming. Don't forget about Aquaman 2. We know you're all obsessed with James Gunn, but Aquaman 2. That's all it felt like.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I love Jason Momoa, but
it's I think I can sum it up best by saying this film shone brightest when they let the story and the characters interacting take center stage.
When it was actually about Flash.
Yeah. When you had Barry interacting, when you had them interacting with Michael Keaton, when you had them interacting with Supergirl, and it was just like conversations, the film was genuinely so good.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't think I've ever seen a superhero film before where I'm like, damn it, the action ruined it. Do you know what else I didn't realize at the time?
Go on.
There was a huge editing mistake. Or laziness. So just before they run off to do their super speed bit in the final battle, you get a come on Barbie, and then Barry 2 says, let's go party.
Yeah.
Originally, they had the Barbie Girl soundtrack play as the music after that. but they didn't get the rights to use it in the theatrical cut. So they cut the music out, but left that line in.
Okay, so that explains why that felt weird.
Yes, because after that it was supposed, and that would have probably elevated the scene because I'm a sucker for that song.
Well,
But yeah, it was supposed to then launch into a "Come on, Barbie." I'm sure if anyone wants to go Google it, you can probably find it on YouTube with the song behind it as it was supposed to
yeah,
be.
probably.
Okay,
Okay,
but
that
yeah,
makes a
so
lot
you
more
just had that
sense.
line that was out of nowhere, and they just couldn't be asked to take it out because they had no other way of launching into that action sequence.
Yeah, and they couldn't refilm anything because everything that was going on.
Yeah. Sorry. I was trying to think. There was another major CGI issue I had that can't be attributed to stylistic choices.
Okay.
There are too many shots where you've got the Barrys next to each other, where you can tell one of them is superimposed into the other one's footage. It looked like mid 2000s
It's just bad
Disney
compositing.
Channel. Yeah. In early mid 2000s Disney Channel, you'd get a shot like that and you go, it doesn't look great, but it's a TV show for kids, who cares? Then it got really good, and you wouldn't notice that they were
No.
two different shots. And all of a sudden, it was like I could genuinely draw a line down the screen or point out who was put in the shot.
That shows recuts and having to recomposition stuff and just not
Yeah.
doing it to
Which again is just disappointing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It's disappointing, which is crazy when I still have this as like a high 6, low 7 rated film that I think is genuinely pretty fucking good. That I can still sit there and be like, there was so much more. They left so much quality on the table.
That kind of sums up the DCEU though.
Yes.
And it's like, and I saw something which like this was not how like they failed at wrapping it up, and it's like in a way actually they wrapped it up exactly how the whole thing was. A disappointment, like an unfinished mess.
Yeah.
The DCEU was that bowl of spaghetti.
The problem is you've got James Gunn loyalists
Yeah.
going, see, this is Zack Snyder's legacy. The DCEU was shit. James Gunn's going to save us.
Mhm.
And then you've got the Schneider loyalists going, look what James Gunn has done. The Flash was brilliant under Zack Schneider, and he's ruined it, even though James Gunn has no credits on this film at all. And it's just kind of like, lads, you're all just pissing in the wind here. Why are people being so loyal to a director who doesn't care about them?
Do you know what's also wild? The Flash director wants a second film.
I mean, he's getting a second film. It's called Batman the Brave and the Bold.
No, but he wants to do another Flash film.
Yeah, which he wants to make the reverse Flash the villain of. It's not getting a sequel.
No, it's not. Which is just funny to me because it's like, cool, the director wants a sequel. It ain't happening. Like it just does. Like James Gunn's not gonna let that happen.
What I will say is, I think without the time constraints that the Flash ended up having on it, which I know sounds ridiculous for all the delays, but it ended up still being rushed.
Yeah.
Because of the director changes, I do think this director can be good for Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Oh yeah, I think he needs a in the nicest way, he needs a better post-production head who has a better eye for CGI styling.
I think I could make a lot of money and add a lot of value to production by being the guy that these creative people bounce ideas off of. And just let me just sit there and go, that is a terrible idea. Do not do that. Or go, yes, there you go. That's what you want to do.
That looks good.
Yeah. I have no talent, but I have a good eye. Just one. This one's shit.
Yeah, I do agree. I think the director will make good DCU films.
Yeah.
I think he has a good, solid like understanding of what makes a good superhero film. He just didn't have chance to deliver properly.
It wasn't his film from the beginning, which I think is where problems always arise.
Yeah.